In the ballistics world, folks are always chasing the next new thing. But rolling through 2026, the shooting community is watching something wild happen. A 90-year-old revolver round is roaring back in a big way. Why? Because 357 Magnum is not just a caliber. It's a ballistic Swiss Army knife. It outlived the 9mm takeover of the 1980s. It cruised right past the 40 Smith & Wesson craze of the 1990s. And it's still standing tall, even with the recent 10mm comeback, because it offers what almost nothing else can. That perfect overlap of physics, versatility, and that old-school mechanical simplicity. If you could only own one firearm for the rest of your life, physics says it probably ought to be chambered in 357 Magnum. So stick with me today, because we're breaking down why this legend keeps leaving everything else in the dust. Number 10, the legendary dual fuel capability. Why settle for one caliber when your gun can run two? 357 Magnum is one of the best true dual fuel setups in handguns, and it gives you a built-in practice mode without swapping a single part. A big reason 357 dominates the field is this dual fuel setup, because 357 was created by simply stretching the 38 special case. Any revolver chambered in 357 can safely and reliably run 38 special ammunition. That builds a training to performance pipeline you just don't see in most handgun platforms. You can spend a morning on the range shooting soft, low recoil 38 loads, dialing in your trigger press, then step up to full house 158 grain magnums for woods carry or home defense. Now compare that to 10mm auto, which people love to call the modern do-it-all pick. Yeah, some setups can run 40 Smith & Wesson in a 10mm platform, but doing it correctly usually means the right barrel setup. And without that, it's commonly not recommended, because semi-autos need specific geometry and pressures to run consistently. A 357 Magnum revolver, it's manually operated. It does not care. You get rock-solid mechanical reliability with both rounds. Even stacked up against 9mm Luger, 357 wins on flexibility. You can't download 9mm down to the level of a 38 wad cutter without turning that gun into a single shot. 357 Magnum gives you one of the widest performance envelopes of any handgun caliber out there. Number 9, the efficiency of the short barrel burn. In 2026, size doesn't automatically mean weakness. 357 Magnum is built to turn a pocket-sized snub nose into a fire-breathing dragon. There's this old myth that Magnum cartridges are wasted in short barrels. In 2026, with modern propellant tech, that myth has been beat up pretty badly. Today's 357 Magnum loads often use faster burning powders, built to reach strong performance in the first 2 to 3 inches of barrel travel. That's why 357 is such a serious option for deep concealment snub-nose revolvers. You're getting Magnum-level pressure, blast, and performance in a package that can fit in a pocket. Now put it next to its direct semi-auto rival, 357 SIG, and the efficiency difference shows up fast. 357 SIG is a fantastic cartridge, no disrespect, but it needs the right slide length and the right recoil spring weight to run at its best. In a subcompact format, 357 SIG can lose a lot of velocity, and it can get notoriously hard to control. 357 Magnum, though, out of a 2-inch barrel like the Smith & Wesson 340 PD, still hits with a level of thump and sectional density that many smaller rounds struggle to match, even when those smaller rounds are loaded hot. And yeah, you'll hear 9mm plus P plus talked about, but plus P plus is not a universally standardized label. A 9mm might expand nicely, but 357 Magnum has a long track record of penetrating and expanding, while carrying enough energy to fight through heavy winter clothing and still reach the vitals. That's something a lot of smaller calibers can struggle with in short barrel setups. Number 8, the lever action transformation. When you drop this round into a rifle, it doesn't just get faster, it evolves. A 357 Magnum lever gun is a serious brush country tool. Americans have always had a deep love for the lever action rifle, and in 2026, the 357 Magnum versions are seeing a real surge. Why? Because out of a 16-inch or 18-inch barrel, 357 Magnum changes character in a big way. That extra barrel length lets Magnum powders burn more completely, and it can push a 158 grain bullet to around 1850 to 1900 feet per second, depending on the load. At that speed, a handgun round starts behaving a whole lot more like a carbine round, delivering roughly 1,100 to 1,300 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle with common loads. Now compare that to a 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington carbine. 5.56 is the standard for a lot of folks, but it leans on high velocity and a tiny lightweight projectile, usually 55 or 62 grains. Inside home defense distance or brush hunting ranges under 100 yards, 357 Magnum out of a carbine gives you far more projectile mass than 5.56, and it can deliver energy in the same general neighborhood at the muzzle. 5.56 has more reach, but 357 has more thump up close. It can cut a nasty permanent wound channel. That small caliber rifle rounds don't always replicate the same way at close quarters. And having a rifle and a revolver that share the same ammo, that's a logistical dream. And no AR-15 owner can say that. Number 7, barrier blindness and sectional density. 357 Magnum doesn't ask permission. It drives through bone, glass, and wood like a hot knife through butter. One of the most ignored advantages of 357 is sectional density. The bullet is relatively slim for its weight, so it can hold momentum through obstacles better than people expect. In 2026, testers keep seeing the same theme. 357 Magnum stays barrier capable long after some other defensive handgun rounds deflect or fragment. Heavy winter clothing, auto glass, dense bone on a large predator. 357 is built to push through. Now stack that against the legendary 45 ACP. 45 is the big, slow slugger a lot of folks trust for diameter, but because it's wide and slower, it doesn't bring the same sectional density 357 can. In barrier testing, 45 ACP can deform more or stop short when it hits hard material like heavy lumber or car doors. 357 Magnum, with higher velocity and a more streamlined profile, often pushes through those same obstacles and still keeps enough energy to matter on the other side. If you need a round that won't get confused by plywood or a windshield, 357 is the choice that leaves the fat cartridges in the dust. Number 6, the stopping power statistics, the king of the street. Numbers don't lie. Decades of reports have kept 357 Magnum in the top-tier conversation for fast fight stopping performance. Stopping power is always argued. Sure, but one data set that gets cited over and over comes from researchers like Marshall and Sano. And in their published numbers, one load kept showing up at the top, the 125 grain JHP 357 Magnum. For decades, that specific load was famously listed with a 96% one-shot stop rate in their law enforcement data. That figure is debated, but the reputation of that load is very real in gun culture. In 2026, even with modern bullet design, the hit effect of a strong 357 Magnum load is still viewed as a gold standard by a lot of shooters. Compare that to modern 9mm Luger. 9mm tech has improved, no question, but it's still a sub-Magnum round. 9mm leans heavily on expansion to create trauma. 357 Magnum leans on speed, penetration, and rapid energy transfer. And yeah, it can create a larger temporary cavity than many service rounds, but handgun wounding still comes down to penetration and shot placement first. Americans love 357 because it also brings a psychological stop factor. It's loud, it's bright, and it lands with an authority that can end confrontations before they have room to grow. Number 5, hunting versatility from small game to deer. It's a target gun in the morning and a deer hunter in the afternoon. No other cartridge bridges plinking and harvesting like 357. In 2026, survivalist culture has wrapped its arms around 357 Magnum because it's a legitimate foraging round. With nothing more than an ammo change, you can go from rabbits with a soft-shooting 38 special wad cutter to a white-tailed deer or a feral hog with a 180 grain hardcast 357 load. That kind of spread is why it's the one-gun champion for a lot of Americans living rural or backcountry life. Now compare that to a specialized rifle round like 300 Blackout Subsonic. 300 Blackout is a great quiet option, but it doesn't have the modularity 357 does. You can't safely underload 300 Blackout down into tiny game levels without real risk of getting a bullet stuck in the barrel. And you can't just swap that rifle ammo into a sidearm. 357 Magnum gives you a power spectrum other calibers can't touch. From roughly an 800 to 900 feet per second target load, all the way to roughly a 1900 to 2000 feet per second carbine load depending on bullet weight and load design. That covers basically every hunting need a North American shooter is likely to run into, and you can still get these rounds for a fair price. In 2026, basic 357 Magnum range ammo often lands around 35 cents to 55 cents per round in many markets. Premium hunting and defensive loads can climb to $1.50 or more. Number 4, mechanical reliability, the revolver factor. A 357 Magnum doesn't care if you're tired or muddy, it tends to go bang every time the hammer drops. One of the biggest reasons 357 Magnum leaves other cartridges behind isn't only the bullet, it's the platform it usually lives in. Yeah, a few semi-autos exist in 357, but it's primarily a revolver round. And in a survival situation or a high-stress defensive moment in 2026, mechanical simplicity can save your life. A 357 Magnum revolver gives you that pull the trigger, it goes bang certainty that no semi-auto can 100% promise under every condition. If a round doesn't fire, you don't run a clearance drill. You just press again, and a fresh chamber rotates into place. Now compare that to modern 10mm auto or high-capacity 9mm semi-autos. They're powerful tools, and they can be very reliable. But they're more vulnerable to limp wrist and compromised grip. If someone's injured, shooting from a bad position, or their grip falls apart under adrenaline, a semi-auto can stovepipe or fail to cycle because it needs the frame to stay stable while the slide moves. A 357 Magnum revolver is far less sensitive to that. It also doesn't care about bullet shape, flat-nosed hardcast, aggressive hollow points, no feed ramp to hang up. In the mud and blood of a real-world encounter, 357's mechanical independence is a huge advantage, and you can still buy these platforms for reasonable money. In 2026, a rugged Ruger GP 100 or a Smith & Wesson 686 usually lands around $850 to $1,000, and the ammo is still a staple on a lot of shelves. Number 3, the flat trajectory of Magnums. Stop guessing the holdover. 357 Magnum is the sniper of the handgun world. Flatter and farther than the big bore loopers. When you step into Magnum territory, you often trade speed for weight. But 357 Magnum nails a sweet balance, and that can create a surprisingly flat trajectory. It pushes lighter bullets like 125 grain or 158 grain at high velocities, so it doesn't arc like the heavier hitters. That means the average shooter can realistically connect at 50, 75, even 100 yards, where most handgun rounds start dropping hard. Compare that to 44 Magnum or classic 45 Colt. They're absolutely powerful, but they're loopers. 45 Colt, for example, has a big drop at 100 yards, so you have to aim noticeably above the target. 357 Magnum stays much closer to your point of aim. Even compared to 45 ACP, which gets called slow at distance, 357 tends to look like a laser beam by comparison. In 2026, with more hunters leaning into revolvers for medium game, that ability to take a 75-yard shot with confidence is a big reason 357 keeps leaving the big bore sluggers in the dust. Number 2, ammo availability. The find it anywhere rule. In a 2026 supply chain crisis, 357 Magnum becomes currency. If ammo exists on the shelf, it's probably this: logistics win wars, and they absolutely win long-term gun ownership. One of the most practical reasons 357 Magnum dominates is simple ubiquity. It's been a top-tier option for almost a century, so every ammo maker on the planet produces it. In any rural gun shop, any big box outdoor store, even the local hardware shop in 2026. You'll often see 357 Magnum and its little brother, 38 Special. Now compare that to boutique or new tech rounds like 327 Federal Magnum, 30 Super Carry, or even 357 SIG. Interesting ballistics, sure, But those are commonly the first cartridges to disappear when shortages hit. If you're on a hunting trip in a remote town and your ammo is gone, you can usually find 357. You probably won't find 30 Super Carry. Even compared to 10mm auto, which has grown a lot, the 357 and 38 combo still has a much larger installed base. 357 gives you logistical security that flavor of the month calibers just can't match. Number 1, the recoil to result ratio, the sweet spot. It's the most power the human body can realistically manage. Why pack a hand cannon you can't aim? Ballistics is the law of diminishing returns. You can always go bigger, but at a certain point, recoil gets so violent that the gun becomes unusable for 95% of people. 357 Magnum is widely seen as the ceiling of manageable power. It hits with enough energy to stop a man or a deer instantly, but it doesn't bring that wrist-snapping recoil that builds a permanent flinch or kills your follow-up speed. Compare it to the super magnums like 444 Marlin, 454 Casull, or 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. On paper, those are absolutely more powerful. But in practical terms, they're for a small group of elite shooters. For the average person, 500 Smith & Wesson recoil is so intimidating. They'll never practice enough with it to get truly proficient. 357 Magnum, though, is the Goldilocks cartridge. It gives you the maximum thump you can still shoot accurately, one-handed if necessary, and recover fast enough to send a second shot. Compared to 9mm, it's a big jump in power. Compared to 44 Magnum, it's a big jump in control. It's a strong balance between physics and human capability. And when the dust settles in 2026, 357 Magnum is still a brutally logical choice for the one-gun owner. It covers the full spectrum of human needs. Target practice with soft 38 loads, woods defense with hard-cast magnums, pocket-sized snubbies, brush-clearing lever actions. It leaves 9mm in the dust on raw energy. It leaves 45 ACP in the dust on penetration. And it leaves the super magnums in the dust on real-world shootability. In a world of fleeting trends and plastic compromises, 357 Magnum is proof some things were done right the first time. It was king in 1935, and it's still king today.